I auditioned for American Idol and it didn't go the way that I planned it. If you don't know what American Idol is, it's a singing game show. Not really a game show, but like a singing show. It was much, much bigger in the early 2000s. That's where we got Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, Daughtry, and a couple other people too. I auditioned for the show twice. And both times I didn't make it. Both times I was embarrassed, very discouraged about how I was ever gonna be able to make a career out of music. But even though I failed both times, I was still able to do that. And I wanna talk about that. Usually when you audition for American Idol, you have to go to a big open casting call where there's like thousands and thousands of people. And before you get to audition on TV in front of the judges, you have to go through three preliminary rounds in front of the producers. My first time I did it, I was 17. My manager at the time knew somebody who worked on the show and got me kind of a backdoor audition where I only had to go through one round of producers before I made it onto the show. It was in New York City and I had two songs that I was gonna play. I was gonna do Life of the Party by Shawn Mendes and The A-Team by Ed Sheeran. At that time, those were my two favorite artists. I go into the city with my dad and I walk in the room and there's three people that are sitting at a table and they have you kind of explain about yourself, where you're from, and why you think you would be a good fit on the show. I'm telling you, I crushed this audition. I crushed it. I sang every note on pitch. I was present. The emotion was there and I did really well. Based on that audition, they sent me through into the round where I got to meet the celebrity judges. I was pumped. I was calling my family. I was like, Mom, guess what? You're never gonna believe it. I called everyone and it was really, really cool. A few weeks go by and we head to the real audition, the filmed audition, the one that's on the show. And this is at a big convention center in Philadelphia. At the time, the celebrity judges were Keith Urban, Jennifer Lopez, and Harry Connick Jr. I bought my mom and dad. I bought like a bunch of my cousins. I bought my brother and sister, three of my best friends. We made like a whole day of it. When you get there, there's like hundreds of people there. So when you first get there, they, are doing interviews, walking around, having talks with your family. A really cool experience. And they're doing like a lot of filming. And so you kind of get to see how the show is filmed. Clay Aiken was walking around. He had a conversation with my brother where my brother said to him, Clay, I love your song Invincible. And he was like, thanks, but it's invisible. And that was pretty funny. And so this is like a 9-hour day. This day is like 9 hours. Like you get there at like 9:30 and you don't leave till like 9:30 at night. You don't really get to see the judges before you go in there and you see them. And me being 17 years old, having it be the first time that you see celebrities that you've been following for a long time, you become starstruck. And I think it puts you a place where your nerves are very much heightened. It was pretty much my turn to go in there. They called me away from my family. They said, okay, Alec, we're ready for you. You're in this group. I went to go wait for my audition and I walked in there. I was very, very nervous. One thing that I noticed when I was in there is that when you're watching the show, you're watching the person sing in front of the judges. They're standing in the middle of the floor and you see all of the judges sitting at the table. It looks like you're pretty close, but you're actually very far away from them. I'd say you're probably about 20 feet away from them. So that was one of the first things that I noticed. I was stuttering, I was young, I was very, very nervous. I started singing The A-Team by Ed Sheeran. I said, I'm gonna do The A-Team by Ed Sheeran. They said, okay, great. They stopped me before I even got to the chorus. And that was hard because I knew, I was like, oh, they stopped me because I sucked. And one of the things that they said to me was that Keith Urban, and he basically said to me that I should maybe try to focus on songwriting rather than being a singer, because I'm like a good guitar player, so maybe I should focus on songwriting rather than having to sing. Harry Connick Jr. agreed with him that I just wasn't ready. Jennifer Lopez really didn't say anything. She just kind of nodded and agreed with them. And at that point, I was really crushed, very discouraged that somebody of that stature would tell me that I shouldn't sing. You know, I was upset, but I didn't let it stop me. I still kept making music. I still kept writing songs. I still kept performing. To hear that from somebody at that stature, being 17, was like, it just hurt. We did get McDonald's on the way home, so that made me feel a little bit better. Fast forward 2 years later, I think I'm in a better position. I had the same manager at the time. I had another audition. This one was actually over Zoom, and I sang over Zoom, and they asked me to come in and audition in front of the judges again. And at this point, it was Lionel Richie, Katy Perry, and Luke Bryan. I believe it was 2017. And so the same sort of thing. I brought my family. I think I brought my sister. You know, again, a 9-hour day. I think I got there at 9:30. I didn't end up going to audition until about 6 o'clock. And they make it really fun. If you've ever seen American Idol before, they have a group of people that are really good singers, and then they have a group of people who really are not. But I think they have a mix, so the show is entertaining. So it's not just all really great singers. I think that wouldn't make for really the most entertaining show. So, and I was doing a lot of interviews. I was feeling really good. I was going into the bathroom to rehearse with my dad. At the end of the day, they brought us up to the audition room. As you're waiting to go into the room, Ryan Seacrest is right there. All the cameras are there, and they're doing interviews with my dad, with me, getting me really excited. So they call me in. I see Lionel Richie. I see Katy Perry. I see Luke Bryan. And I say, hi, I'm Alec. And they ask me how old I am and where I'm from and why I'm doing this and what I'm gonna sing. And at this point I sang, I think I also did again, I think I did Life of the Party by Shawn Mendes. I think I was just set on that song at that time. As soon as I finished, Lionel Richie looked at me and he was like, you have potential, like I like the rasp in your voice. And so did Katy Perry. She said the same thing. She said, I like the tone in your voice, but is it strong enough to be able to hold you throughout the competition, right? And so Lionel Richie and Katy Perry really liked what I was doing, I think, and Luke Bryan was kind of on the fence, right? So they had me sing another song, and they had a grand piano in there. So I went onto the grand piano and I sang Torn by Natalie Imbruglia. I think I'm saying her name right. And after I sang that, they basically said no to me. After the first song, they were kind of on the fence, and then once I sang the next song, they were like, nah, thanks so much, but that's okay. But Lionel Richie and Katy maybe would have let me through, but Luke Bryan sort of shut it down and was like, nah. So, yeah, so that was hard. And then as you walk out of the audition room, they have the camera on you immediately. And so that was kind of embarrassing to have my mom and dad standing right there and Ryan Seacrest there and having the camera on me and being like, yeah, I didn't do it. So after that, they walk you out and you do an interview at the end of your audition, like what you thought about the audition. At that point, I was like, maybe this show is just not for me. Like, based on the things that I am uploading online, like, people seem to like my music. And I'm thinking, I'm like, why is it not translating to when I go to audition for a show like this? And so I think we got McDonald's on the way home too, so that made me feel better. And then the more that I thought about it, I was like, I don't even know if a lot of my favorite singers or my favorite bands would even make it on American Idol. You know, I think I just tried to think about things to make me feel better about it, but I was definitely upset. Maybe I just wasn't ready. Say that I did make it, like how would I do? Like, I don't know if I was at a point where I was ready, you know, being 17 or being 19 years old. I don't know if I was ready. After that experience, I still didn't stop. Went to Guitar Center, maxed out all of my credit cards and bought a bunch of recording equipment, which you're looking at right here. These are like the same studio speakers that I've been using since 2018. And I started to record covers on the internet, and I started to record original music, and I started uploading it onto YouTube. I've been able to gain 3 million followers onto TikTok through my music. Going through an experience where I was told no by somebody of the stature of Lionel Richie or Luke Bryan or Katy Perry, or to be told no by them, and then a few years later to be like making a living off of my music career, is something that I think I just always knew in my heart that I wanted to do music. I knew that this was who I was, and even if they didn't get it, I still wasn't going to stop doing it. And I found a platform that worked for me to upload my music and to get my voice out there. Like, I found something that worked for me. So maybe it wasn't American Idol, maybe that didn't work for me. That wasn't the kind of format that my music needs to be shared on, but I found something that works for me and that I'm able to express myself in a way where people understand. I guess I just been making this video to show you that one person's opinion, it doesn't matter. One person's opinion doesn't matter. There's a ton of people that get said no to, and I really think that you get 100 no's before you get one yes. But that one yes means everything. If I let somebody else's opinion stop me from doing what I wanted to do, I would have never had the courage to start to upload onto TikTok or onto YouTube and get my music out there. In some ways I did listen to them because it kind of made me want to get better and want to put in more work and in some ways prove them wrong. I think it all worked out the way that it was supposed to. So thank you for watching. I appreciate y'all, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.